Thank you, and hello everybody. I'm really pleasure to attend this conference. I'm really happy that there we have a section about sustainability, and yeah, all this session I heard a lot of really good information, and I love this topic. I'm really involved in this, and thank you, Eva, for giving me the floor. Yeah, my name is Inese Pelša. I'm PhD student in the University of Latvia. I'm researcher also, and I'm working in Ministry of Environmental Protection and Regional Development of the Republic of Latvia, and I'm responsible for green public procurement implementation of these legislative acts and guidelines, seminar conferences, and therefore I really love this topic about sustainability, circular economy, consumption, and as well as SDG 12, this aim. And yeah, today I present this paper towards climate neutrality, sustainable public consumption. And first of all, I always started with history. In this section, a little bit we have this information, but why we need to change something, why it's really necessary, and when we see in historical data, then of course 17th to 19th centuries showed that all these manufacturing processes, when our using non-renewable resources, and we want to, we are like a consumer society. When we get these resources, then we produce, then use, and we had a lot of wastage. And another aspect, of course, is overcrowding, because, for example, in 17th century, scientist Malthus said that we have a big problem because in our world, this population was 1 million people, and our planet can't absorb our wastes, and we need to change. And if we are looking on this data, then till the end of the 21st century, in our planet will be more than 11 billion people. And it's all together. We need to understand that we have this degradation of resources, limited resources, and ecological problems as well. And this is a milestone why we need to do something. And okay, together today we are talking sustainable development goals, circular economy. It's like a trendy. All the time we are talking on this question. But when I studied to this procurement specialist yesterday, I had this lecture 3 hours, and all the time I started this. This isn't a new topic. Scientists in the middle of the 20th century said that stop, we need to understand. And then in 1972, think tank Club of Rome scientists modelated with computers how our planet will develop if we didn't something change. And yeah, and all the time we need to understand that planet can absorb our wastes, and planet have these boundaries as well. And therefore this really big point was in 1972 when first time in Stockholm held this conference in environmental aspects. And then of course after then we have this in 1987 Brundtland a report where is mention about this sustainable development. And I really like this Venn diagram where is mention all these 3 aspects, that environment, economy, and equity. But I really like that in you have mentioned in this beginning of this section when education is really important aspect. And I like that. I think that we can involve 4th E education as well, because it's really important. Then from this beginning they understand why it's necessary, and we need to change our habits as society, as business partners, and together. And then, of course, yeah, going through these aims, I want to mention about this Agenda 2030. It was really big milestone, and in 2015 in the United States were adopted this really big and wide agenda. And today we focused on, in my presentation, and SDG aim 12, what is responsible consumption and production, and 12.7 is sustainable procurement. And if we are looking in Europe, then of course Europe is a really high and ambitious aim. Climate neutral continent in the world, 2050. And therefore we need to change. We need to change everything. I think it's like transformation processes from this production side and consumption side. And it's only the question, what is our position in this? And yes, and is one of the aim, if we want to be the climate neutral, then of course the target is, first target is 2035. Then we need to reduce these greenhouse gas emissions at least by 55%. And therefore Green Deal includes several activities starting from mobility, construction, food and catering services, and another. Talking about this green public procurement, why it's really important tool. Firstly, we need to understand that annually in European countries, approximately 14 to 17% from gross domestic product is made by procurement. It's a huge of money. In Europe, it's 1.8 trillion euro per year. And therefore, we need to understand that procurement is really a good tool, how we can boost these green things and how we can make really good consumption side and impact to this production side as well, because we need to work together. And in green public procurement we include, of course, green aspects, but I really like to focusing on life cycle costs. We do not need to focus only on price aspect. It's approximately 30% from all these costs. We need to include maintenance costs, utilization costs, and research costs, is it possible. And therefore it's a really important aspect. In Europe, green public procurement now is a voluntary tool, but in beginning of 2020 they mentioned that they are working in a mandatory green public procurement criteria, and now analyzing all these directives, regulations and positions what are going through our ministry, we see that green public procurement now is like a horizontal issue, like climate change. It's important tool how we achieve these aims. There you can see in this slide about this life cycle cost approach. Firstly, we saw that and see that standard product price is lower, of course. But if we are calculating all these costs about use, maintenance costs, and another cost, then we can prove that in long-term period we have these financial benefits as well. And this is really good. I think that we need to, as society, we need to change our thinking. Not only, it's a really important aspect in procurement where always we have this lower price aspect, but now we are focusing as most advantageous tender, and therefore we need to change our thinking. In Latvia we have a good situation with green public procurement because we have normative acts. We have a Cabinet of Ministers resolution, which was adopted in 2017, Cabinet of Ministers, and we have 7 mandatory product groups, to which the green public procurement is mandatory to apply. and 15 voluntary groups. Also, we have Annex 3, where is a methodology for life cycle costs, energy consuming products. And we have possibility to buy green things in an electronic procurement system. It's like a internet shop, and therefore it's for buyer it's easier. Do not need to apply all these procurement requirements. And there you can see these dynamics of GPP, Green Public Procurement, and in previous year, in financial expression, it's more than 33% from all procurements which were made in public procurement law. And in financial expression, it's more than 1 milliard euros are green. And these main groups, of course, one of them is construction, which in this moment we have a voluntary group, and 24% food and catering. We have mandatory regulation for food and catering services, green public procurement, and 13% is transport. And we are working also for amendments, and one of the big group what we are looking for is construction procurements. And why? Because of course from this financial expression, construction made more than 40%. But if we are looking on Green Deal, then the building sector consumes 40% of total energy. And the amount of renovation of public and private buildings must be doubled. And in Latvia, we had this discussion, what would be better than probably use some kind of sustainable systems, DIG and BREEAM or several, but experts mentioned that better we need to get these 14 mandatory criteria of green public procurement, what we need to implement in these procurement documents. And therefore we made these amendments, and I really hope that in a few months after then we use these criteria and involves in all these projects as well as European Union structural funds projects, because it's really necessary that money what we use and then go through this public procurement are boosting these Green Deals activities as well. And another is transport sector. Transport now is voluntary, but if we are looking on this statistical data, then approximately 97% percent from all these procurement which were made in public procurement law was integrated green public procurement criteria. And if you are looking on this Green Deal perspective, then of course transport accounts for 25% of the European Union's greenhouse gas emissions, and all this process is increasing, not decreasing. And therefore, the goal in Europe is to reduce these emissions by 90% by 2050. And then our clean vehicles directive as well, that mentioned that when you are made this public procurement for transport, for example, 20% of all these vehicles you need to buy electrical zero emissions, yeah. But the question is, how about these other persons? We need to manage and regulate this aspect as well. Because in Latvia we had a not so really good situation. We had one of the oldest car park in Europe. Average year is 12.6, and these tendencies are not so really good, but this another discussion probably, and therefore we understand that we need to regulate this transport sector, passenger cars and commercial vehicles, and there are this going to this mandatory group as well. And conclusions, conclusions. This concept, sustainable development, isn't new concept, of course. It's our scientists talking on these boundaries, and that we need to think about how we using these materials, and now at this perspective from this linear economy to circular economy. This is all going through, and green public procurement is a really important tool, how we can boost these Green Deal's requirements, how we can achieve these aims as well. And in European Union, this is voluntary tool, but as I mentioned in my presentation, that they are working on this question, and they really want to integrate it as this horizontal issue. And in Latvia, we are really proud that from all this procurement, public procurement, approximately 33% are made by green public procurement. Thank you, and have a good session.